Have you ever been told that you're narcissistic, even though someone knows you were diagnosed with autism? They continue to believe that you're narcissistic instead. And in this video, I'm going to explain what's the difference between narcissism and autism. This is really important because there are a lot of wrong beliefs about what autism is. People just really don't understand it, and they don't take the time to try to understand it. They just feel like they already know the answer. First, let's define what is autism. It's a developmental disorder that affects communication and behavior. People with autism have trouble with social communication, repetitive behaviors, and restricted interests. Now let me define what narcissistic personalities disorder is. It's a mental health condition characterized by a long-term pattern of exaggerated self-importance, a need for excessive attention and admiration, and a lack of empathy for others. I'd also like to say that people with autism, contrary to belief that we cannot be empathetic towards other people, people with autism have empathy for others. In fact, we can feel very deeply for others. We just have trouble expressing that in words. And it's hard for us to understand the feeling of our own emotion, much less to try to explain it to other people. So one of the key differences is motivation of behavior. The behaviors of an autistic person are driven by the need for routine and comfort. They might engage in behavior that makes them feel more comfortable, feel more secure. Narcissistic person, those behaviors are driven by the need for admiration and validation. They often seek to boost their own self-esteem at the expense of others. So let me tell you, from my own experience as an autistic person, I have absolutely zero desire and admiration from others. I do not seek the limelight. I shy away from the limelight. So the need to be in the limelight and be admired by others is not one of my motivators. I am usually just trying to make it through the day. Now let's talk about empathy and the difference between how narcissistic and autistic people experience that. People with autism have trouble understanding social cues or expressing empathy in typical ways, but it doesn't mean that we lack empathy. We can be deeply empathetic. A narcissistic person typically lacks empathy for people. They have difficulty understanding or caring for other people. Now let's talk about social interactions and how that affects autistic people versus narcissistic people. Autistic people may struggle with social interactions due to sensory overload or just difficulty understanding social cues in general. We often desire connections but have trouble attaining them. Narcissistic people often will manipulate social interactions to benefit themselves. Their relationships are superficial and self-benefiting. And then finally, we're going to talk about self-perception and autism and narcissism. The difference is an autistic person doesn't have an inflated sense of self. We may focus on our interests, but we don't seek validation from others. The narcissistic person, on the other hand, will have an exaggerated sense of self or self-importance and believe that they're superior to others. It's just important to understand the difference. If you have someone in your family that's autistic, you need to understand there is a difference. If you have someone with autism in your family, take the time to research it. If you love them, you want to understand it. Because quite possibly if you're a family member or a child of someone with autism, you might be autistic too. There has been shown to be, correlation between heredity and autism. Calling someone you love narcissistic never helps the problem. It only hurts the problem. It's an easy way out, and for you not to take the time to try to understand it, but just label with narcissism because it's what you know. It's not right, and it's not fair to autistic people to label them incorrectly when life is hard enough. If I was narcissistic, I wouldn't truly care what people said about me. But what people say about me means everything to me. And it hurts. It really hurts when someone you love thinks that you are something other than what you are. And there's nothing I can do about it. I do care about people a lot. I really do. And I think anyone that really knows me knows that I care about people. I love my job. I love working with seniors. I love my family. And I just struggle sometimes for them to see, I guess. So I encourage you, if you're watching this video, to please take the time to more research more in depth about the difference between autism and narcissism. And I'm going to put some articles down below just in case you're sharing this with someone in your life that thinks you're narcissistic and they struggle to understand autism. I'm going to put some good articles down below that you can share. So I appreciate you watching this video, and I hope it helps somebody. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye. So when I wrote you that letter and mailed it to you, I meant every word I said, and I thought I was saying it in the right way, and I'm sorry that you saw it in a different way. I'm sorry that it did not come across the way you wanted it to, and the way I wish it would have come across, because I did the best I could, and apparently it wasn't enough. And I'm sorry you still feel ill towards me, and I hope that one day you can love me again and you can be a part of my life, because life's too short not to include people that we love. And what can I do? All I can do on my end is pray, but the love is there.